Did you hate Resident Evil Village? Or maybe just the way it ended? Well, stay tuned for the simple idea that was too good for Capcom, and could have led to an amazing Resident Evil 9. There's going to be spoilers for Resident Evil 8 here, so if you haven't played it yet, go do that or watch a Let's Play first. You've been warned. Also note, as of this time, we know DLC is coming, but not what it's about. 2 weeks from now, I don't want a bunch of RE Karens telling me Resident Evil 8 Village Super Hyper Ultra Gold Edition invalidates my opinion, therefore I must stick my head in doo-doo. I haven't talked about Village much on my channel yet, if at all. Mostly because I found it to just be a big ol' nothing burger. The graphics were great, as is the case with all of these RE Engine games, along with the music, but everything else fell flat. Never cared for Ethan Winters, for example. Yeah, sure, he's got the whole blank slate everyman thing going on, but see, I don't like that. Maybe if they actually bothered to show me his face and have him emote once or twice, I'd care, but they didn't, so I don't. He's always just a nobody with a one-track mind. In RE7, he was on a mission to save his wife. Then that same domestic terrorist wife came in like a wrecking ball strapped with a chainsaw and, they lost me. VR kicked major ass though. In RE8, he was on a mission to save his baby, and that baby was half domestic terrorist wrecking ball strapped with a chainsaw, so they lost me again. Plus no VR. Worst game ever. I'm mostly kidding, I think. But you know what? We're not even here to talk about moldy old Ethan and his horrible family. We're here to talk about Chris Redfield. Chris has not had an easy life. I mean, he doesn't even have a life, does he? Can you actually imagine this mountain of muscle going grocery shopping? Or waiting in line at the DMV? No, you cannot. That's because his life has been spent serving in the military and various organizations. He's never really been his own man, always putting his life in the hands of other people who call the shots. For most of the Resident Evil series, Chris may as well have been a Pokemon, always getting tossed into battle, given an order, and expected to fight his way out. Except this poor guy doesn't even get a visit with Nurse Joy afterwards. Hashtag justice for Chris. But now he's struck out on his own, baby! Since he can't seem to find work for a place that isn't eventually taken over by bioterrorist maniacs, Chris finally has his own squad called HOUND WOLF. Wait, really? Is that a typo? Okay then. HOUND WOLF, a squad made up of only Chris's most trusted allies, like that guy, this dude, Broseph, and some random chick. Hold on. Seriously. What the actual fuck, Capcom? You gave yourselves this opportunity and this is what you did with it? Okay, let's back up. We were formally introduced to HOUND WOLF at the tail end of RE8, at the beginning of an incredibly action-packed hype moment where Chris's actions throughout the story are finally explained, poorly, as he finally emerges from the shadows and becomes playable, having left the BSAA behind, joined by several hand-picked operatives, and they're a bunch of nobodies? Capcom, you done fucked up. This team should be the Avengers of the Resident Evil world, man. They try to make it seem like these characters know each other and have long histories together. But we, the player, who have followed the series for decades in some cases, don't know or even care who they are. Hell, immediately following RE8's release, the only excitement I saw about HOUND WOLF on various message boards was speculation that the female member could be either Jill or Sheva, which was promptly stamped out thanks to the concept art. And you know what? Jill Valentine and Sheva Alomar should both be there. Both characters, who are fiercely loyal to Chris, have been missing in the RE timeline since RE5. Jill had been Chris's partner for a very long time. Sure, Wesker did some experiments on her that necessitated some time in quarantine, but Capcom are the ones controlling the story. They can bring her back at any time in any game they choose. There's lots of speculation among fans that Capcom has no interest in having a middle-aged female protagonist, and while I don't subscribe to that just yet, it's truly mind-boggling that they haven't featured her alongside Chris in RE7 and RE8. Otherwise, why bother reuniting the characters at the end of RE5? As for Sheva Alomar, we don't know as much about her. Her exclusion isn't much of a head-scratcher, as she isn't exactly beloved like Jill. A lot of the fanbase still hates the character due to the poor AI during gameplay. Some even see her as something Capcom forced into the story purely to offset the cries of racism. While I think she's thankfully becoming more appreciated over time, she's still not a fan favorite. But there's no denying the loyal bond she and Chris formed during RE5. Sheva was presented with a chance to save herself and leave Chris to go solo, but she refused, even after they both admitted to feeling expendable in the eyes of the BSAA. More than that, Sheva risked her life to help recover Jill and, most importantly, chose to sacrifice herself to stop Wesker. Luckily, Chris didn't let that happen, meaning she's still out there somewhere, just being her beautiful self. Now bring her back for me. Beyond those two shoo-ins, there's plenty of other characters who would fit into the Resident Evil Avengers. RE Avengers. Revengers! Ha! I'm sure nobody else has ever thought of that one. right? As old as he may be, I'd like to think Barry Burton would happily take up some sort of support role. Hell, part of me would like him to have spent years honing the skills necessary to become the new Kendo. But ultimately, he may prefer full retirement at home with his family, at least until Natalix someday ruins things. Likewise, Rebecca Chambers could easily slot into a support role as well. As a former STARS medic and BSAA advisor, not to mention the fact she's something of a scientist herself, there's several ways she could be useful. Hell, I wouldn't complain about her becoming the team's nurse joy. There's also Claire, of course, though in recent years she's been shown to prefer a pacifist path, only taking up arms reluctantly and as a last resort. Would the BSAA seemingly going dark side be enough to have her join the team? Maybe. As a RE fan, it'd be amazing to see Chris and Claire kick ass side by side since they were mostly separated during CVX. With Carlos Oliveira being more popular than ever thanks to RE3 Remake, it may be a good idea to bring him back, albeit as a more mature soldier who has seen the world decline since his time as a mercenary. I can definitely see him working alongside Jill and Chris. Complication here, of course, is that Capcom made the brilliant decision to hire Jeff Shine to voice Carlos in RE3 Remake and Chris in RE8. Josh Stone is another character introduced in RE5 who could easily make a comeback. We know him as a highly skilled, good-natured BSAA agent and a mentor to Sheva, and he previously worked well with both Chris and Jill, so he'd fit right in. Like Chris and Carlos, he can also serve as a pilot when needed. And although a lot of you would like to, let's not forget about the BSAA agents introduced in Revelations: Parker, Grinder, and Jackass. I like Parker. He's cool. The other two can die in a fire. Finally, there's Leon. Leon has always seemed pretty happy to just stick with working directly for the President of the USA. What's more, he also works best as a sort of lone wolf. But let's do some speculation here. If the BSAA have truly started using bioweapons for their own benefit, it's unlikely that the US government isn't aware of that. Perhaps it would even be reasonable to assume it was done under the President's order. We don't really know who's in charge. If some corrupt politician sits in the White House now, maybe Mr. S. Kennedy doesn't feel much job security. Y'all know I'm not the biggest fan of Leon, but there's major potential here. With this iteration of Hound Wolf, I can imagine a Resident Evil 9 that switches perspectives often, but not in the clumsy yet ambitious way RE6 did it. This RE9 has lots of iconic characters to feature, but they all operate under one banner with a singular objective. And everyone ultimately answers to Chris, who in turn confides in Jill. But here's the thing about Chris. Being a leader has never gone well for him. How many times have we seen people who serve under him die? So now for Chris, having nobody above him to give out the orders should be a terrifying idea. If the orders are incompetent, or if a mission is planned without proper intel, that's on him. Not to mention the PTSD he already suffers from, an idea first introduced in RE5's marketing and then followed up in canon with Resident Evil 6. There's also the stark reality that without any government funding, their resources are extremely limited. They don't have unlimited access to the best weapons and infinite ammunition. Actually, come to think of it, I'm surprised they had what they had in RE8. Huh. Maybe they stole it all the day they left the BSA. You know what? I'm getting off topic here. This ain't a Resident Evil 9 video. It's a Hound Wolf video. And to wrap things up, I'm not fully opposed to unknown characters being a part of the team. Chris and the others would need all the help they can get. Besides, somebody has to be injured, killed, or otherwise maimed, right? Although my vote goes toward Grinder and Jackass being used as meat shields. In conclusion, the real friends are the Hound Wolf we met along the way. Or something. I'm Baffled, and I hope to see you guys next time.